term in Wisconsin. The Wisconsin senator sits on the Senate Homeland Security and Foreign Relations committees. He joins me now with more on that news and what gets done in the Senate this year ahead of the midterm. Senator, it's good to see you. Thanks very much for joining me this morning.
Good morning, Maria. Happy New Year.
And to you, what are your plans? Why seek re-election? Tell me what you're hoping to accomplish.
Well, there are many factors. It wasn't an easy decision, but I think probably the easiest way to put it is that I love America dearly. I love the American people. I love the folks in Wisconsin. And I think this country's in trouble. I think Democrats in power in Washington have put us on a very dangerous path. And I think I'm in a position to help improve things. It really just boils down. It's that simple. We need to restore confidence in so many institutions throughout America, whether it's in governmental agencies, whether it's in our media, within big tech. People have lost confidence. And the only way I can see restoring confidence is we need to ask a lot of questions. We need to get some answers. We need accountability. We need the truth. And unfortunately, the truth is being censored today at an alarming, a very disconcerting rate. And so I'm just one of those truth tellers. I ask tough questions. I try and get answers. But when I tell the truths that the media elite, the governing elite don't want to hear, I get censored, I get attacked, I get vilified, but it doesn't deter me. And I think we need people that are willing to seek the truth.
Well, we certainly do. You have been a truth teller around COVID, the origins of COVID, the origins of the Russia hoax, the impeachment of Donald Trump. The list goes on and on. Tell me about the FBI, because confidence has plummeted in the FBI after they worked with the Hillary Clinton campaign, we believe, to spread this false rumor of Trump colluding with Russia. What happened at the FBI, in your view?
Well, corruption at the top. You know, my eyes were opened up as we were investigating Hillary Clinton's email scandal and then James Comey's exoneration email. And that same cast of characters that edited his exoneration email just transferred into the Crossfire Hurricane, that corrupt investigation of President Trump, knowing full well that the Steele dossier contained Russian disinformation, yet they proceeded with that corrupt investigation, put America through 4 years of political turmoil. Maria, it's an unsustainable state of affairs. When in 2016, half the country just refused to accept that election result as legitimate, and here 4 years later, now the other half is not accepting the election result. We need to restore confidence in our election systems, in so many agencies within government, but also within institutions of media and big tech as well.
Well, we need accountability, that is for sure, on a number of these issues. I want to get your take on what went on this last week about the theatrics around January 6th and the one-year marking of the January 6th protests and riots. She had, Nancy Pelosi had Broadway stars singing. It was a whole to-do. Is this a ploy to cover up what you're talking about in terms of this disastrous agenda and governance from the Biden administration?
Well, first, let's state the truth. I don't know anybody that didn't condemn the violence on January 6th. I did while it was occurring. I repeatedly condemned it forcefully. I thought it was repugnant. The violence, I thought the racial slurs were repulsive. But at the same time, I recognize that tens of thousands of other Americans that didn't partake or didn't storm the Capitol, didn't partake in any violence, came there to exercise their First Amendment rights. And they did assemble peacefully. That is their right. And so I defended those people that assembled peacefully. I also pushed back on the false narrative, and it was a false narrative. There were thousands of armed insurrectionists. There weren't. That is not what an armed insurrection would look like. We would not have been able to get back in session a few hours after the rioting occurred and complete the task of counting electoral votes. But that was a narrative that, quite honestly, served both sides. Anybody that was responsible for Capitol security was pretty well happy to sign on to thousands of armed insurrectionists because what could have they possibly done? And the commission right now in the House is a joke. They're not asking what Nancy Pelosi knew and when she knew it. I've written dozens of oversight letters asking the kinds of questions that should be asked. I've sent my staff in to review the videos. We're the ones that determined that over 300 people entered the Capitol through a door that was opened. No violence. They just walked in an open door. America deserves to hear exactly what happened on January 6th, the full story. The House committee is not going to provide that full story. We deserve those answers.
Well, we want to get into the misinformation around COVID as well. But before we do, let me get your take on the Build Back Better agenda. There were reports this weekend that Joe Manchin is basically taking the whole thing off the table, saying that he is pulling his $1.8 trillion spending compromise. Is it dead in the water right now? What are you expecting?
Well, first of all, God bless Joe Manchin. I can't tell you how many of my supporters tell me to tell Joe Manchin they are praying for him as they witness how the Democrats are abusing him. So, you know, that's not the way to get somebody on your side, that's for sure. So I appreciate the fact that Joe Manchin stood by his pledge not to blow up the Senate, to eliminate the filibuster. He's concerned about inflation, as am I. And, you know, let's face it, the $1.9 trillion COVID relief, the partisan COVID relief package, passed. We had $1 trillion left unspent, $700 billion not even scheduled to be spent till the out years. That's inflationary. And that is one of the biggest problems facing this nation today is the increase in prices that is wiping out whatever wage gains Americans are realizing. And let's face it, the very people the Democrats purport to want to help, retirees on a fixed income, people, the working poor, those are the people hit hardest by inflation. Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, you know, the big tech giants, they're not impacted by inflation, but they are benefiting well from all the shutdowns and our move toward you know, so much greater use of the internet.
Well, Senator, you've been a truth teller on COVID as well, and we're going to take a break and get back to that. You were censored because you actually identified drugs that can treat COVID. We'll talk about the COVID cover-up. The number of Omicron cases is spiking right now.